Next are the pedicles. Pedicles are short bars of bone which projects backwards and laterally from the posterolateral aspect of the body at its junction between the superior and inferior surfaces. So these short bar of bones are known as the pedicles. So the upper and the lower margin of the pedicles are notched and they are known as the superior and the inferior vertebral notches. So in case of lumbar vertebra, the superior vertebral notch is fairly definable. And in case of thoracic vertebra, this inferior vertebral notch is deeply concave and it's well prominent. And for cervical vertebra, both inferior and the superior vertebral notches are almost equal. So if you observe the superior vertebral notch of the cervical vertebra, it transmits the numerically corresponding spinal nerves. So you can see the spinal nerves from C1 to C8. So among that, the upper 7 cervical nerves will be transmitting above to the superior vertebral nerves. But the C8 spinal nerve will be passing below to the inferior vertebral nerves. So we have total 8 cervical nerve, but 7 cervical vertebrae. So remaining spinal nerves will be passing below to the inferior vertebral notches of the corresponding vertebrae. So next are the intervertebral foramen. Intervertebral foramens are observed on the sides of the vertebral column, and it's bounded above by the inferior vertebral notch of the above vertebra, and below it's formed by the superior vertebral notch of the below vertebra, and anteriorly it's formed by the posterior aspect of the body of above and above vertebra and the intervertebral discs, and posteriorly by the zygapophyseal joints. So these are the boundaries of the intervertebral foramen, above by the inferior vertebral notch, below by the superior vertebral notch, and anteriorly by the posterior aspect of the body and the intervertebral discs, and posteriorly by the zygapophyseal joints. And this foramen is known as the intervertebral foramen. Importance of this intervertebral foramen is it mainly transmits the spinal nerves from the spinal cord. So we know that there are 31 pairs of spinal nerves which emerges from the lateral aspect of the spinal cord, and this comes out from the vertebral canal through this intervertebral foramen. So along with this spinal nerves, we can see the segmental branch of spinal artery also. So these are the two structures which is lodged within the intervertebral foramen. The size of the intervertebral foramen will gradually increases as it uh, comes down or as it descends downwards. So that means towards the lower part, from the cervical to lumbar towards the lower part, the size of the intervertebral foramen gradually increases. Same like that, the thickness of the spinal nerves also increases towards the lower part. So because of that reason, the lower lumbar spinal nerves are more prone to get the compressions which is formed by the disc herniation. So this is the intervertebral disc. So there is a condition known as the disc herniation. So when this disc will come out or it protrudes backwards, that's known as a disc protrusion or disc herniation. So it may narrow this intervertebral foramen, and also it can compress this spinal nerves. So that may lead to the constant radiating pain. So nerve irritation, and that is the one plate anatomy which is related with this region, intervertebral foramen, and that's more prone to get towards the lumbar region because the size of the nerve or the thickness of the nerve is larger towards the lumbar origin. So once it becomes larger, the size of this intervertebral foramen will be reduced. So that's why the lumbar region are more prone to get this impression. So next we can move on to the lamina. Laminas are thin plates of bones which passes backwards and medially from the pedicle, and it meets posteriorly at the midline to form the spinous process. It elongates to form the spinous process. And the adjacent laminas are interconnected by the fibroelastic membrane known as the ligamentum flava. And in case of thoracic vertebrae, it partially overlaps each other. So that's the features related to the lamina. So next are the transverse process. So transverse process, it projects laterally from the junction between the pedicle and the lamina. So in case of cervical vertebra, the transverse process is a foramen. That's the identification feature of the cervical vertebra, and that foramen is known as the foramina transversarum. So that's the feature present in the transverse process of the cervical vertebra. If you see the transverse process, it passes forwards and laterally. It's a short bar of bone which passes forwards and laterally, and it bears the foramina transversarum. And this foramina transversarum lodges the second part of the vertebral artery, except at the seventh cervical vertebra. Remaining all vertebrae, the foramina transversarum lodges the second part of the vertebral artery. And this foramina transversarum, it divides the entire transverse process into an anterior root and a posterior root. Anterior root ends at a projection that is known as anterior tubercle. Posterior root ends at another projection known as the posterior tubercle. And these two parts are connected by a costotransverse block. And this anterior root, anterior tubercle, then the costotransverse bar, and the posterior tubercle. These are the parts of the costal elements. And this posterior root alone is the part of the true transverse elements. So developmentally, we have got two elements, that is a costal element and a true transverse element. So here in case of cervical vertebra, anterior root, anterior tubercle, then costotransverse bar, and the posterior tubercle, they forms the costal elements, and the posterior root alone itself, it forms the true transverse elements. So there are two elements for the transverse process, costal element and the true transverse elements. So that's all about the feature of the transverse process of the cervical vertebra. Next, we can move on to the features of the transverse process of the uh, thoracic vertebra. So, for thoracic vertebra, this uh, transverse process, it's elongated and passes backwards and laterally here, and close to its tip, its anterior surface, it bears a facet which articulates with the tubercle of the corresponding rib to form the uh, costotransverse joint. Here, costotransverse joint. So anterior surface of the tip of the transverse process of the thoracic vertebra bears a facet which articulates with the tubercle of the corresponding ribs that forms the costotransverse joint here. That's an important joint, costotransverse joint. Here. And here this transverse process, it represents the true transverse element, and the ribs will form, it's formed by the uh, costal element. So the costal element forms the individual ribs, corresponding ribs, and the true transverse elements forms the transverse process